Good morning. Welcome to Newsmakers. 4.5 months ago, on March the 24th, the Ohio Supreme Court handed down a ruling that shook the Ohio political and education establishments. The court threw out the state's traditional way of funding public schools as unconstitutional and gave the Ohio legislature 1 year to adopt a new funding system. For the last 4 months, the governor and the state legislators have struggled to develop alternative proposals. That process ground to a halt last weekend when the House and the Senate fractured not only along party lines but between different wings of the Republican Party. Rather than get embroiled in all the partisan jockeying in Columbus, I thought it might be a good idea to step back a bit, look at the underlying educational issues and opportunities posed by this crisis. I am joined this morning by Bob Wehling. Mr. Wehling is Senior Vice President with Procter & Gamble, along with the State Superintendent of Public Instruction, the co-chair of BEST, Building Excellent Schools for Today and the 21st Century, a statewide reform organization. Welcome to Newsmakers.
Morning.
You know, I think for most people who follow this whole issue in the papers or on our evening news, it may seem that what we're facing with the schools right now is just another local school system pleading for a new tax levy. But when you read the Supreme Court decision of March the 24th, it's pretty amazing what they're saying here. I mean, and just to cite a couple of things, the court calls for a complete systematic overhaul of the school system. And in another line, we must create an entirely new financing system. And those are strong words. This is a strong decision. Given what was before the legislature over the past few weeks and finally failed, the sales tax, in your mind, from BEST's point of view,
right,
did that proposal meet the standards that the court had laid out here? Did it systematically reorganize the school system?
I think a number of the proposals that were before the legislature, including the administration's proposal, did in totality address what the court was asking for. I mean, there was an effort to fundamentally restructure the system. And since it didn't happen, we're just going to have to go back to the drawing boards and start over again. I think this time, hopefully with much more bipartisan effort to get a systemic change passed.
In a situation with BEST, where BEST was not just totally lined up behind the sales tax proposal,
no.
Where did your organization stand on, you said there's a variety of proposals out there, where did you stand on the financing solution?
A little bit of background on BEST might be helpful.
Good.
The previous state superintendent, Ted Sanders, and I formed BEST about 4 years ago when we realized that in order to get systemic change in education in Ohio, we would need a very, very broad coalition to provide a broad base of support for systemic change. And we set about forming the broadest coalition that's ever been put together in any state in the United States, to the best of our knowledge. We now have over 100 organizations involved in BEST. And we did a gap analysis to determine, what policies are not in place that need to be in place to really generate the results that everybody expects to see from Ohio schools.
And that's more than just funding.
Absolutely. In fact, this coalition wasn't put together with the Supreme Court case in mind. As I say, it predated it. We've done extensive research. We've looked at school systems across the country, what's working, what's not working. We've consulted with experts in higher education who are studying the K-12 systems. And we put together what we feel is a holistic package that fundamentally addresses why aren't students succeeding at a higher rate in Ohio in all areas of the state. What is causing some of our urban schools to generate the results that they're generating, and we've proposed a plan of action that in its totality will address that.
And what are the core elements of that plan of action?
Well, one of the core elements is what we've labeled first things first. In other words, I've personally studied the records of lots of dropouts, and in almost every case, you can see the signs of dropout in the first 2 or 3 years of school. They come to kindergarten unprepared to succeed socially, emotionally, physically, mentally. They have trouble. They're held back in either kindergarten or first grade. And once you're held back and you have that pattern of failure starting to develop, the rest becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy without significant intervention. What happens is that you don't have the reading comprehension skills to decode material in the 4th grade when you begin to get more difficult concepts. You mentally drop out about the 6th or 7th grade and physically drop out in the 9th grade.
Although, look at that slightly differently. I have become aware through friends who have younger children. My children are either graduated from college or in college, but with younger children, a number of friends who consciously made the decision to have their children repeat the 1st grade, and that's worked very successfully in the sense that they detected some sense that the child wasn't, and these tended to be boys, by the way, weren't at the reading level that they wanted, they expected, had them repeat that 1st grade,
right.
And yes, there was some struggle socially, but then things seemed to really click in for them. So it does work for some.
And in that case, I think you're dealing more with a maturity issue than probably a school issue. But there's a lot of evidence that if you can get kids off to a good start, if you can have the physical issues dealt with, reading glasses or other physical issues, if you can have an effective preschool, some linkage between the preschool and the kindergarten so that it doesn't seem like going from one system to something completely different to the parent and the student. Small class sizes in kindergarten through 3rd grade.
And what does small mean?
Generally speaking, the evidence suggests that in kindergarten through 3rd grade there's an advantage to no more than a 15-to-1 student-teacher ratio.
And realistically, where do we stand now? I know you can, depends
it's
on
all, it's all over the lot, but there are many K-3 schools with 25, 26-to-1, low 20s.
If I'm not mistaken, Best has proposed all-day kindergartens.
All-day kindergarten.
And the other point that you were just making, that there be an effective preschool program. So this isn't just a K through 12 issue in your mind.
No,
effective preschool program.
School readiness is a critical issue, and we think that the more we can do working actually prenatal through kindergarten to help parents and others in the community make sure that all of our students, to the best of our ability, are starting school ready to learn and then have a profound K through 3 experience, which might be aided by team teaching, by the way, which is another thing. The more teachers can stay with the same group of kids in those early years, we think the better the results will be. So that they leave 3rd grade with the fundamental reading and math computation skills that are necessary to succeed later on. Now, there's a lot more that needs to be done in the entire system through 12th grade. But if you start, you asked me what was most important.
Right.
Start getting the job done in those first few grades.
You know, it strikes me, let me ask a question. Are those the sorts of issues that legislators are in Columbus talking about right now, or are they just overwhelmed with how to meet the financial demands of this court ruling?
No, I think it's understandable. I really believe the legislators are trying to do the best they can with a difficult situation. They have a difficult job in front of them to fundamentally change the way schools are funded in Ohio. What Best is saying to them is, we realize that how difficult that is to change the funding system and reduce the reliance on the property tax and deal with the capital issues and everything else that the court indicated. But let's not lose this golden opportunity to fix the system at the same time and to dramatically change what people can expect of someone who graduates from an Ohio high school.
The other thing that I would want to ask is, by focusing on these first things first and these sorts of educational issues, it strikes me that that's a very different approach than just saying, what I hear coming out of Columbus a lot is, let's put in more standardized testing and see where the students are at 4th, 9th, 10th, 12th grades. That testing isn't the same thing.
No.
That sounds like accountability, but that's not the same thing as the sorts of approaches that you're talking about.
Well, but I think they all fit together. Funding, accountability, and the systemic changes that are necessary to produce, better results. To me, it's as if the general manager of your station said, Dan, we need 25% higher ratings from your show. And that would be a higher standard, and that would be great. But unless they provide some resources or plans that would lead you to believe you can get 25% higher, like getting Colin Powell instead of Bob Wehling, to be on the show, it's unreasonable to believe that you're going to get there.
Right.
And so what we're saying, we're all for accountability, and we're all for higher standards and expectations, but let's give our teachers and principals and students and parents some of the resources that we know will lead you to believe we can achieve at a higher level.
On the other side of that, if I read the BEST material correctly, a lot of the teachers' organizations are partners with BEST, is that correct?
Every education association in the state is a part of BEST.
A lot of people would say that one of the problems we have with schools is that we need tougher standards on the teachers. If the teachers' organizations are part of the BEST organization, can you stand and say, we not only need changes in funding and changes in the way we test students, but we need changes in the way that we certify teachers, that we supervise teachers, that we hire and replace teachers? Can you make that sort of strong statement in your organization?
Yes, sir. In fact, the teachers' associations, both the Ohio Federation of Teachers and the Ohio Education Association, are integral parts of BEST, and they are foursquare behind our call for improved professional development activity, including, it's got to start at the university level. We need substantially improved programs that the University of Cincinnati, Ohio State University, Miami, and others are helping with to provide a different product in terms of teachers that are emerging from that system. We need a better onboarding process and licensure process. But then we need ongoing professional development, which we're fortunate to have here in Cincinnati with the Mayerson Academy, but most cities around the state don't have anything like that.
Given all of that, we still are faced with what are we going to do about this funding thing, and given the breakdown last weekend, where do you think we go from here? What's going to happen next?
Well, after the legislators get a well-deserved break and come back around Labor Day, I think that our entire BEST coalition has indicated that we're going to work with everyone in the legislature, individually and with their various caucuses, to see if we can't be a catalyst to help drive a bipartisan solution that will address the court's decision.
Was that one of the problems in this last effort, that it wasn't truly bipartisan, that the governor set up what looked like a bipartisan committee but dominated by his type of Republicans, and then in the end it was really his proposal that went out there, rather not even that committee's proposal?
Well, I really don't want to get into who did what to who and blame, because
does it need to be more bipartisan?
It absolutely has to be more bipartisan. I think there was a good faith effort. There is no stronger proponent of of children and the education system than the governor. And I really believe he and his administration and the leadership of the House and the Senate made a good faith effort to pull this off. But I don't think we involved every individual legislator and addressed their needs to the degree that we should have, and that's what we'll try to do this time around.
You know, nobody likes to pay taxes, and there are some politicians in Columbus, not the least of whom being Ken Blackwell from Cincinnati, the state treasurer, saying we don't need any tax increase. We can do this without a tax increase. From your perspective as a co-chair of BEST, is that a legitimate stance to be taking, or is that posturing for future gubernatorial races?
My personal belief is that you can't get the job done without some additional funding. And unless there is a tax increase of some kind, particularly to address the capital needs, the technology needs, the professional development area, I mean, there's a lot of investments that have to be made in order to produce a materially different result. And unless you're going to severely penalize other areas of the state budget, I don't see any way to get this job done in a professional manner without some kind of tax increase. But I really believe that it's substantially cheaper for us to invest in our children and in our schools and in a better result now than to pay the price later of dropouts and the other problems that causes for society.
Well, we're out of time for this morning. I thank you very much, and as we get back into this after Labor Day, we may invite you back for your insights.
Always ready.
And you're great, just as good as Colin Powell. Thank you. After the break, we will take a look at plans for this year's Black Family Reunion, an event that has become one of Cincinnati's most important summer gatherings. This coming week will mark the 9th annual celebration of the Midwest Black Family Reunion here in Cincinnati. Each year, the reunion gathers thousands of families and individuals who pray, play, and celebrate, and discuss with each other around the theme of the heritage and strength of African Americans. Welcome back. To give us a preview of what's in store for this year's reunion, I am joined this morning by two guests. Cassandra Robinson is the director of the Midwest region of the Black Family Reunion celebration. Amin Akbar is a vice president of Provident Bank and has been active in planning this year's celebration. Welcome to Newsmakers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cassandra, just to get started, this is the Midwest Black Family Reunion. This is really part of a much larger movement, effort, energy. Could you tell us how many Black Family Reunions are there, and how many people participate?
There are 7 cities that participate in the Black Family Reunion, and the attendance has been marked at over 1 million people attend throughout the United States each year. In our case, because we are Midwest region, our guests and family members come from not only Ohio, but also Indiana, Michigan, Illinois, Kentucky. We get also people from West Virginia, and that's our main focus. But because the event has been so well publicized and people enjoy it so much, they bring their families, the local community bring their families from all over the United States. We've had people from as far away as California come into Cincinnati just for this weekend.
I mean, you are involved, I'm sure, personally, but also as a representative of Provident Bank. Why, and there's a lot of corporations that have been involved in supporting the Black Family Reunion over the years. Why does the bank think this is an important thing, and why do you think it's an important thing on a personal level?
Well, it's an opportunity, very honestly, for the bank to market its products and services. Where else can you go and have 200,000 African Americans in one concentrated area? It's a well-organized event, very family-oriented, very positive energies are going on, and it's a great opportunity for the bank to be a part of it.
How about you? How many of you attended?
Actually, I've attended 8.
Mm-hmm.
I believe this is the 9th
Right.
one, and I've attended 8 of the 9.
And do you take your family? Is this something that you do as a family?
Absolutely, and this year, actually, we'll be coming back from vacation on that Saturday, and we're coming straight from the airport to the Black Family Reunion.
And I bet Cassandra has some jobs for you when you get there.
I was checking on
Yes.
that and we were waiting, yes.
You know, I think from a viewer's point of view, it may seem that the Black Family Reunion is just a social events that occur down at Bicentennial Commons, and there's performances on stage and people have picnics and whatever. There's a lot more to it than that, is it?
It really is, because in each of the pavilions we have panel discussions dealing with a lot of issues that are important to all families, not only the African American families. This year we also have a job and career opportunities pavilion in which you'll get information if you're thinking of changing careers, if you are a teenager going out into the job market for the first time, if you are someone who wants to look at what else is available, how to prepare for looking for a job. So we do more than just entertain individuals. We also give them a chance to learn and to interact with perhaps people they may not get a chance to meet and talk with. Even to the young adults, their panel discussions, they're going to deal with AIDS and what impact that's having on us today. The children are going to they're going to have a chef to come in and talk about cooking. In addition to that, the fire department will be there to handle a part with the children on fire safety. So we try to make sure that not only are people entertained and feel good, but they come away with a lot of information. We have over 40 nonprofit organizations that will be on site, led by United Way Community Chest, in providing information to let people know what services are available in the Cincinnati-Hamilton County area, that they can, even after this event, know what they can get when they have a need.
You know, for somebody who maybe you've been down to every one, but for somebody who hasn't gone before, do you need tickets? What do you have to do to participate in a lot of these different activities?
You don't need tickets. It's a free event, which is great. All you really need to do is find a parking space, which is a challenge sometimes, and just come in and be a part of it. It's a great opportunity, as Cassandra mentioned, to pick up some education, information that you may, if you had to do it individually, would take you a much longer time. You have this weekend where you have all this information available to you, easy, accessible, and it's free.
Now, besides the various events at Bicentennial Commons, there's also things at the zoo and in Avondale, if I'm not mistaken. There's a parade. There's a breakfast at the zoo. Is that correct?
That's correct. On Friday morning, we will be at the Cincinnati Zoo, and we will be having what we call our Heritage Breakfast. And at that time, we will have a morning speaker, as well as the Black Family Union Choir. We get a community choir together every year that also sings, and they'll be performing. And then the nice part of it, because the zoo, again, being one of our sponsors, allows us you the opportunity, if you haven't anything to do in a while, so after the breakfast you can wander through the zoo, and the cost for getting into the zoo is only $5 for adults and $3 for children. That gets you the breakfast, everything we have going on that day. There's no more expense other than that. And then the exciting part, again, we are in Avondale Saturday morning. The parade is at 10 a.m. and the nice part of the parade this year, we have a couple of the characters from Kings Island that's going to be in the parade. Our family of the year, the O'Neill family, will be the Grand Marshals this year, so we're excited about that. And in addition to the parade, we will be giving out to those that come Kings Island tickets, so you need to be there.
That will attract people. Well, good luck this coming week with all your events, and thank you for being a guest on Newsmakers, and hope it's not too hot down there for the reunion.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. Join us again next Sunday to hear the people who make the news and explain what's at stake.